This is Minutia Men with Rick and Dave.
So, Dave, this is a big week for you. Congratulations.
What?
It's not every day I talk to somebody who is featured in the New York Times.
What?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
You were in the New York Times this week.
You're kidding.
No, I'm not kidding.
What?
On like Monday or Tuesday, I did Wordle.
Oh.
And the word was stern. S-T-E-R-N.
Okay.
That's you.
You know what I was thinking? I'm like, they finally discovered us.
No, they didn't discover me. They only discovered you. Kempfer is too many letters.
Yes. And in a bit of a narcissistic kind of tone, I sometimes start with that word.
Do you?
And of course, I did not start it on the day. Well, you know what today? Well, we're going to... Oh, I could tell what today's is because this is not going to go... You know what today's word was?
No.
Oh.
Yeah, I do. It was... I did it this morning. I don't remember.
It was rerun.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is going to be a lot of the content that we're going to be doing for the rest of the show. So,
okay.
So there you go.
Because it's time for Minutia Men.
The following is a Tony Lasano podcast, an Opie production on the Radio Misfits Podcast Network. This is Minutia Men with Rick and Dave.
Did they have a picture of me? Well, which picture was it? Was it with
section?
Hair?
Was it the sports section?
You know what? I'll even take gardening right now.
Did they watch me golf? They might have seen me golf.
Yeah, that's well.
Yeah.
All right. What? You got anything else?
No.
That's pretty much it?
It's your turn.
Hey, we got a big show.
Do we?
I think so. I don't know.
Okay.
It's a rerun. It's
all right.
This comes out of China, this story.
Oh, great.
Well, you didn't even talk about your St. Louis trip.
There's nothing to talk about.
Really?
Yeah.
You see the arch?
I did see the arch.
Okay.
I did...
Bowling Hall of Fame? Did you do the Bowling Hall of Fame?
No, I know. I didn't go in the arch. I just drove by it.
Okay.
We were staying near the Anheuser-Busch tour place.
Okay.
So
the Clydesdales there?
I didn't see that either.
Okay.
I basically saw a German festival.
Okay.
And I had to wear my German costume for it. And it was
it a
like,
dirtle? No, that's women, right?
No, it's a Leivel. A Leivel.
Okay.
Which is like a vest. It's a vest with buttons all the way up and down.
Okay.
And then...
what pants are you wearing?
I'm wearing nice black slacks.
Okay. Not
And,
lederhosen. No, okay.
But it was like, 90 degrees. It was St. Louis, like 90 degrees outside, and I'm fully dressed, like a moron. Yeah. And then the whole event there, and please, I hope nobody's listening from there. But it was a dance competition. Yeah. It was a dance competition. I could care less about this. I couldn't care less. It was torture. And then we had a president's meeting the next day. And they started talking about finances and stuff like that. And I'm the president of the Green White Soccer Club, which is part of this Dona Schwaben thing, right?
That you've just did. So you're basically dissing NATO right now.
Yes.
When you're are you going to until these Germans start paying, we're out of this club or what?
Let me just say, if you ever want to get any money out of the Dona Schwaben, good luck.
Really?
Because
they're tight.
Listen, oh my God.
Right. Yeah.
So
Germans are very tight.
Yes.
Well, all Europeans.
Yeah, I know, but these people, I mean, come on.
You are not. So do you have to run?
These people, I'm one of these people.
Do you run for this, or are you just appointed? I mean, it's not like you're campaigning to be president, right?
No, well, because I'm the president of Green White, and Green White is one of the member clubs.
Right. So
I have to go 3 meetings a year. And this is a national organization. So I mean, there were people from Toronto. Actually, it's international. There's Toronto. There's some other place in Quebec. New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Ohio.
And they voluntarily get on planes and stuff to go do this
to dance. Wow, to dance.
Yeah. Well, it's better than invading.
It's true,
right? So,
it's true.
So there is that. Yeah. Hey, this story comes out of China.
All right.
Woman in China allows strangers to lock crying granddaughter in plane's toilet for disrupting the flight.
I thought the Germans were rough.
Well, there's a lot of similarities there. On the 24th of August, a domestic flight to China, or in China, I should say, took a dramatic turn when a grandmother allegedly allowed two strangers to lock a crying toddler inside the plane toilet as a disciplinary
Well, I mean,
measure.
Did they ask the toddler nicely to stop, and the toddler did not?
Well, So, according to the BBC, it's a plane going. It's a Jun Yao Airlines flight going from. Okay, I'm gonna mess this up.
Yeah. Right.
Phoenix, the Chinese Phoenix to the Chinese Houston. Okay. As the toddler who was traveling with her grandmother began crying and disrupting other passengers, 2 women intervened. Okay.
Oh, okay.
They took the child into the restroom and recorded the encounter. Okay.
Okay.
Which was later shared on social media. Evidently, the Chinese didn't learn anything from the Germans when they were documenting crimes against humanity, right? So, like, hey, this is a good thing. Let's post us imprisoning this poor kid in the toilet. In the video, one of the women is heard telling the toddler, "You can go out if you stop crying." Okay, very nice.
Yeah.
She made the...
Yeah.
There was a clear objective.
Sure.
There was a smart goal, right? Let the record show I'm not going to ask you to do a Chinese accent.
Good.
So, but here's a question for you.
Yes.
When I ask you to do an Italian accent or an Irish accent or a German accent, we all have fun, right?
Yeah.
Why is it that if I ask anybody to do a Chinese accent, you become racist? Why is that?
Yeah, because it's pretty hard to do a Chinese accent without being racist.
Okay. So the footage quickly went viral, of course, drawing intense criticism from pretty much everybody, accusing the women of lacking empathy and bullying the child.
Even the Chinese.
In a very brief social media statement, the airline noted, this I think is hilarious, that the toddler's mother expressed understanding of the actions taken by the 2 female passengers.
Yeah, that I get. I mean, the mother's like, oh, thank God.
Well, I don't think she was on the flight. I think the grandmother was on the flight. So,
okay.
So the grandmother was in charge going, yeah, absolutely, take up. But then the mother's like, when she heard about it afterwards, going,
yeah, she is kind of a pain in the ass. I get it.
Although the statement did not specify the child's age, local media reports indicate that she was about 2 years old. But this is what's really German-like. Okay. When the airline, Junyao Airlines, was responding to queries by different newspapers or whatever, the airline kept on emphasizing that only one person is allowed in the toilet. So that's the German angle, right? It's against the rules. There's only one. You can't imprison this kid in the toilet. There's only one. You can only have one person in there.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. So there you go, China.
Okay.
And considering that like every 600 people have one kid now there, you should probably treat them a little better.
I would think so. So, Dave, do you know what the generation that is now like a tweeners is called?
What do you mean? Oh, that they're in there.
Yeah.
Like they're like 12 or something, 10 or whatever?
Yeah, like 12 to 15. You know what they're called?
Well, Generation Z is... I think my kids are Generation Z, right?
Yeah. It's Generation Alpha.
Oh, okay. So now they're going... Okay.
So Generation Alpha is very online, and they have developed a language that us boomers may not understand.
Does it sound like Chinese?
No. Okay. Well, kind of, actually. And this is a legit thing here. I saw it on the Associated Press. They put a little quiz on the Associated Press. Would you like to take the quiz?
Sure.
This is all for real. All right. Your middle schooler describes his friend as Sigma.
Sigma.
That means
he's Greek.
He thinks his friend is weak, weird, Greek, or alpha.
Well, I said Greek to be funny. So I don't think it's Greek. Wait, what are the 4 choices?
Weak, weird, Greek, alpha.
Sigma. Weird.
Alpha. It's used to describe a macho dude. British GQ traced the term's origins back to the manosphere, a collection of online forums for misogynistic beliefs. Listen to this. Sigma Grind Set merges this existing thinking with posts about grind culture. Grind culture, workout content, stuff like that.
Us.
Right. Our generation had a different word for it. Asshole. We call that asshole. All right, here's another one.
Okay.
Your favorite snack has just been phantom taxed. Phantom, F-A-N-U-M, taxed. What does that mean?
Wait, how do you spell phantom?
F-A-N-U-M. Phantom taxed.
Okay, that's not a word.
Yeah, well.
Phantom tax.
I'll give you some choices. It was stolen, it was affected by inflation, it was dipped in chocolate, or it was dropped on the floor. Your favorite snack has been
what was the first
phantom
one?
tax.
What was the first one?
Stolen, inflation, chocolate, floor.
Inflation.
Stolen. Phantom tax is the theft of food between friends. It was popularized on TikTok, but created by Phantom, a Twitch streamer who's got 2.5 million followers. So this is when one friend takes someone else's food.
Right.
This was in 1985.
That'd be Steve Quinn.
Steve Quinn phantom taxed you.
Oh, yeah, with the onion roll.
With an onion roll.
Yes, right.
Okay.
We can't tell that story again.
No. All right, here we go. Another one. A TikToker claims that Chris Evans mogged, M-O-G-G-E-D, Chris Pine in a red carpet photo. What do they mean? That he looked taller? That he looked better? That he looked worse? Or he dressed with less pizzazz?
Less pizzazz.
He looked better. Well, you've got every one of these wrong. Mogging gained popularity again on TikTok, where users post slideshows of celebrity photos in which one star outshines the other, making them look a lot better. For instance, Dave stopped wearing hoodies to Eckhart's press events because he was tired of the way Rick mogged him.
Okay. Yeah, but they had our logo on the hoodies.
Okay, there we go. And then here's the last one. A friend describes your outfit as so Ohio.
Okay.
That means it's cringe, stylish, vintage, or expensive.
Well, I've been to Ohio. It's the first one. It's
cringe.
Cringe.
Yes, that's correct.
Ohio. That was easy.
As he's a stand-in for anything that is weird, cringe, or random. But that's going to change now because the ultra cool JD Vance, who is not at all cringe or weird, is from Ohio and is on the presidential ticket. So I'm sure from now on that term will change.
Did you see the video of him buying donuts?
Yes. Oh my God, that poor guy. I mean, I actually kind of feel sorry for him.
A little bit, yeah, a little bit. Hey, we got a review.
Okay.
You never know who will chat with Rick and Dave. It's amazing who they get. They got Academy Award winners, Grammy Award winners, tons of movie stars and musicians, authors, and athletes. I guess that's true, right?
I guess so, yeah.
Right, we've got all that. They didn't mention head of state.
No, they did not.
No matter who they talk to, the interviews are great, and that's from Newfels.
And we had head of state on too.
Right, it was the Sultan from...
The Slow Jamistan.
The Slow Jamistan.
And actually, I've got one that we're going to feature right now here in Studio Walls.
Time now for Studio Walls.
And the words of the prophets were written on the studio walls. Rick and Dave.
So this is not a head of state, but in Chicago, he's probably one of the biggest TV stars in town, and that his name is Larry Potash. Mm-hmm. And this week, actually today, the day we're recording this, their morning show, the WGN-TV morning show, is celebrating their 30th anniversary. So congratulations to them. It's a very funny show. We had Larry Potash on the show to talk about it. And it was exactly 5 years ago because we talked to him on the 25th anniversary.
Oh.
So I thought it'd be fun if we went back and played that. And here it is. Yeah, he's the main anchor of the top-rated morning show in Chicago on WGN. It's a show that beats the Today Show, the Good Morning America, and the ratings. A show that he has helmed for 25 years now. The one and only Larry Potash. How are you, Larry?
Good to talk to you guys.
Now, I've written about your show a few times because it's such a great show. It's such an interesting, totally unique show. And the mixture of news and humor, it fascinates me. It's not like any other show that you can see out there. How would you describe it to people who haven't seen it?
Well, this description has become antiquated, but we would have said something like it's the Today Show meets David Letterman. Not that we were trying to do that, but that's just kind of the nature, I think, of who we are and how it all kind of plays out.
Yeah, that's a good way of describing it.
You know, Rick and I have been on your show as guests, Rick several times, and we've had a lot of authors coming over there. And every time we go, we bring bagels. And not only do we bring bagels, we bring sometimes 2-3 schmears with that, Larry. Do you get any of those bagels, or are they eaten by the staff members before you even get to the green room? That's what we
right.
want.
Well, you nailed it, and I always try and remind them that it's the on-air people are more important,
right?
And that we should get the first draft pick of the Bagels, but they never seem to listen.
Right. They're lucky to have jobs. God damn it! Right. Park my car, and Larry, they are. I mean, I painstakingly pick the onions. I get 2 onions. I get a couple of cinnamon raisins. Maybe
I think it's Hoover. I think Hoover's taking them. That's just my theory. But, speaking of your staff, the other members of your show, Robin and I worked together at the Loop years ago. She's a character, and I've gotten to know all the other guys, Paul and Pat, Dean, Hoover, Tumio. They're all the same off the air as they are on the air, which I think is one of the secrets to the success of your show. I don't know if you agree with that. Just being your real selves.
Right. There's this new buzzword in corporate media America of authenticity, right? And it's all kind of evolved out of YouTube and reality TV. And we were just taking that approach, I guess, from the very beginning, where the majority of people in our industry are like they came from Central Casting or Anchor School, and everything's so sterile, and everybody's afraid to laugh at themselves, and they're shuffling their papers, and they're clearing their throats, and the whole thing that you've seen a million times, and that's fortunately not who we are, and we realize that I think. Especially when you're the last morning show on the air in the number 3 market, you have to be different. And you can't just say, okay, we're going to do cooking segments too. Right. We try not to do them because I don't find them very interesting, and everybody else does them. So we kind of made our mark just by, the chemistry that we have in the interaction and saying things that people aren't willing to say on other news shows, but they do say when they're at work. Right. It's like MASH, they're operating on somebody, but they're still cracking jokes because that's real life.
It's funny. I went and watched a newscast on another station. It'll be nameless. I'll tell you off the air later. And the anchor, how you go when you go to a break, it looks like they're writing something down.
They're just scribbling.
They'll look at the camera, and we'll be right back. And they look there like they're writing something important. I looked at his script afterwards. It was just squiggly lines.
Oh God, isn't that's typical? It's so typical. Yeah, and thank God they still all do that.
Yeah, that's true. It helps you, right?
And we've mentioned this before. We also love when you guys tell some horrible story about 35 people dying in some crash, and then you go to a kicker story.
Right, exactly. And 35 people die. How about that squirrel? Look at that squirrel. There it is. Larry Potash. So congratulations to them. Happy anniversary. That's quite an achievement. 30 years.
30 years in this business, absolutely.
And they're still younger than us.
Are they? Well, they're always going to be younger than us.
I mean saying that they've been doing it for 30 years.
What were we doing 30 years ago?
Right.
So I think we just discovered a real good tip for anybody who wants any media coverage.
Yeah.
Bring bagels.
Yeah.
In your pitch, say, I'm going to bring you bagels.
It's your go-to. You sure you want to give that out for free? All right.
I'm not leaving the basement anymore.
It's true,
right? You discovered the basement years ago.
I did.
And now I'm like, what? This ain't bad. I'm just not going to.
About I would say about 5 years ago when we put the addition on the house, I did move up to the ground floor, and we are now doing this show from the ground floor of my house.
Well, you also have the garage now. And
I've got the garage, so I'm no longer in the basement. I've expanded my horizons.
Hey, I got a story here from Colorado.
Okay.
Hiker left behind on mountain by coworkers during office retreat. And coincidentally, we're going to have Creek Stewart on.
I was just thinking about that because we just interviewed him.
Creek Stewart, who is a survivalisty guy,
he does this.
He does the show, and he has a television show on. Is it Weather Channel?
The Weather Channel. But what he does is he
takes people out on corporate retreats,
right?
And we talked to him about some of the fun things that happened. Yep. Well, a group of 15 office workers left Friday morning for Mount Shavano summit in Chaffee County, but only 14 returned. One hiker was left behind on the mountain summit, stranded as strong storms passed through the area, pelting him with freezing rain and high winds. The 15 hikers were on a work retreat Okay. And left the Blanks cabin trailhead on sunrise Friday morning. Okay, that's your first problem. Sunrise. Yeah. What do you need to do that for? With one group attempting to reach the summit and another one ascending the mountain saddle. I don't know what any of this means, but it sounds like they were having a race. I don't know. Maybe accounting versus human resources. Who could get to the mountain at time? I don't know. Well, one of all the names are redacted. One guy was left
behind
on the mountain. Now, of course, this opens up a whole lot of jokes as to what it was. So, but what I think is hilarious, when he realized that he was left, he starts pinging his location to his coworkers.
Sure.
Nobody responded. They say afterwards, "Oh, we didn't get it."
You know who he is in that office? He's this guy. Right. Who's doing this all day with his pen. Yeah, That's the guy.
He's the guy who is microwaving fish every day.
Yeah.
That's that guy, right? Or he's, not putting the new coffee in the machine. He takes the last cup and he does.
He's the guy that Fannin texts people by stealing their food.
So, without naming names. Okay. Of all your coworkers, there was a time you did leave your basement and actually ventured into the corporate world.
Yeah.
Offices.
For 20 some years.
Yeah. And without naming names, unless you want to, I don't care. Who would you leave on a mountain?
Oh boy, that's a good one. I had a couple of bosses that I'd happily live out there.
Yeah. There was one. I'll even tell you where. I'm not going to tell the name. It was when I was working at International Paper. That was the.
I don't even remember that.
That was the bottom of the ninth inning of the paper career.
Yeah, okay.
That was when I was at Expedex, and there was a guy there who was, upper middle management, made a ton of money and didn't do shit.
Yeah.
Right. And he would always talk about his time in the grocery industry.
Okay.
I don't know why and how. I mean, you'd go into his office to ask him something else, and he goes, I remember the time we got a bunch of peaches in, and he would just, so what we would do is new employees, we would send in there and go, ask him about groceries. Or his history of the grocery business. Then you'd see some intern go in there, hey, not going to say his name. Hey, I heard you were in the grocery. Sit down.
My father-in-law was in the radio business.
He sold radio.
He was a salesman, and he loved telling his radio stories. But he had 7 children, and none of them wanted to hear any of these stories ever again. So when I joined the family,
oh boy, new audience.
He first of all, he loved me. I was his favorite. Yeah. But also the rest of the family
politically really well.
Oh my God, not at all. We just didn't talk about that. But all the rest of the family loved me too because I took them off their hands.
Right.
It was kind of like that. Go and talk to go ask Stan about his days at WCCA. It's true. But I loved him. He was a great guy. All right. Well, you were talking about. Oh, do you have more? You were talking about groceries because I've actually got a story about groceries.
We call that a segue.
Oh,
in the biz.
Wow, I didn't even know. That's how smooth that was. Spanish supermarket shoppers are using pineapples to search for love in a surprising new craze. Now, this is kind of an interesting thing. Again, TikTok. Mm-hmm. This goes back to TikTok.
We are so out of the loop.
I know. And I don't even have TikTok on. I don't even know how to do it. As part of the TikTok craze, singles have been drawn to branches of the chain Mercadona, where it is claimed that they can find romance if they visit between 7 and 8 p.m. and put a pineapple upside down in their shopping carts.
Oh.
Okay? That's the sign.
It's a signal.
A pineapple upside down. Then people are encouraged to go to the wine aisle to find others with the same fruit in the same position. Huh. And here's the code. This is how it works. If they like somebody, they bump their cart against theirs, indicating they're interested in chatting with them. If the feeling is mutual, they bump back. Or they just start talking, according to the Spanish language-based website Olive Press. According to the publication, other items in someone's cart provide clues. All right, so about what your intentions are. So this is, the pineapple. That's your entree.
First inning.
Yes. Right. If someone spots chocolates or sweets it means the other person is looking for a long-term relationship or something more serious.
Okay.
If there's a legume or a lettuce, they're looking for something more casual.
Okay.
If they find a shopping list in a man's cart, that man is either cheating on his wife or hoping to meet a woman who can translate the incredibly specific requests. Where would one find the smoked specific salmon from the Portuguese capers and
organic witch hazel?
Yeah,
well, I've told you many times, my wife makes up names of Greek cheeses.
Same with
just
mine.
So I can walk around the aisle looking like an idiot.
I actually was at a party at this thing in St. Louis when a wife, not my wife, but somebody else's wife, admitted to doing that.
Really?
Just admitted to doing
just
it.
Just faking stuff. So,
Yep.
Yeah.
I was like,
right. Code cracked. So this story reminds me. So, God, this has got to be 15, 20 years ago, maybe even longer. I was in a Home Depot for some reason, which right there is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody who knows me, anybody who listens, not my go-to. I hate that place.
Right.
I'm totally out of my element. But I walked in there I don't know, it was like a Wednesday night at 7:30 or 8 o'clock or whatever. And Michelle gave me a list. I want a 5/8 screw, whatever, whatever. And I'm looking around. And all the other patrons were very nice. I mean, they would make eye contact with me. They'd be like smile and say hello. I'm like, wow, this is a great Home Depot. Everybody's nice. And then I realized they're all men. Yeah. Now, again, I'm not making any kind of judgment as far as men or women to Home Depot. You're all welcome. There.
Okay.
But in this particular, there was men. And then I find out that like on Wednesday nights, it's a meetup for
gay guys.
Yeah. At the Home Depot.
Did you have a pineapple upside down?
I didn't.
In your cart?
No, I got a 5/8 screw, if you know what I'm saying.
Oh, that's not a pineapple. All right. Well, there. That's our grocery story for this week. It's time for another feature.
A random name pulled out of Rick's bowl of brushes with celebrities.
Mixture, collection, selection, assemblage, medley, assortment, variety.
Time now for Celebrity Potpourri
With Rick and Dave.
And by the way, I literally went grocery shopping right before you got here.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. I just put all the groceries away right before you walked
in the door.
What
kind of lunch meats? Did you get salami?
Salami and
pickles?
I like roast chicken.
Oh, is that a new...
I never get the turkey. I like chicken better.
Okay, what pickles? You get pickles?
No pickles.
Or you didn't eat any?
Yeah.
What about herring?
No herring.
What else? You got?
Beer. The real reason for my trip.
What is your house beer here?
This week it's Gumball Head by Three Floyds.
That's
a pretty good one.
That's a good one. All right, Three Floyds, if you're listening.
Yeah.
How about a little bit of
a local Indiana brewer? This letter comes to us from Frank via email. Rick and Dave. I graduated college in 1981, so a couple years older than us. Worked for a newspaper in Chicago. I don't want to say which one, but it rhymes with Chicago Bun Mines. My first year there, I got a notice for jury duty. I figured that working at a newspaper meant that I would automatically be excused, but I wasn't. By the way, that happened to me too. I mean, when I was working in radio,
they don't.
I thought, just go in and say I'm in the media.
I get coffee for this guy.
Yeah.
I can't possibly miss work.
Yeah, right. No, I just thought they wouldn't want somebody telling the stories. And whatever. Let's see. I figured that working in a newspaper meant I would automatically be excused, but I wasn't. I ultimately wasn't picked for the jury, but I did have a great time that day talking to an older man who was sitting next to me. His name was Manny, and I discovered that he was Manny Raskin, owner of Manny's Deli.
Oh, wow.
At the time, I had never been to Manny's, but he told me how it got its name. This is why I picked this story.
That's Minutia.
I know a lot of people don't know who Manny Raskin is or Manny's Deli, people that are not from Chicago. It's a famous deli here in Chicago.
It's our Stage's Deli.
It is. So at the time, he had never been to Manny's. But Manny told him how they came up with the name Manny's. Manny's dad, Jack, found that location that it's currently in the 1960s, and it was a restaurant called Sonny's, Sunny's, apostrophe S.
Oh my God! Did they want to save Buddy?
Jack didn't like the name, so he changed it. He named it after his son Manny, not because he loved his son so much, but because he could save a few dollars on the
4
side.
letters. Yeah, that's great.
Because he only had to change the first 2 letters. By the time it goes on in there, but that's the point.
That's great.
Isn't that a great story?
So I've told you my Manny's story, haven't I?
I don't know.
So this is 2008 or end of 2008. So cold. It was like, I don't know, probably December of 2008.
Okay.
I'm in line at Manny's and then all of a sudden they stop the line behind me. And anybody who's ever gone to, it's like a cafeteria.
Yeah.
Right. And they stop the line right after me. They go, sorry, nobody else. And then I see all these, and they move like everybody who was in line. They go, you have to move over here. I'm like, okay, what the hell's going on here? I mean, I was in. 4 cop cars come up and a Escalade, like a limousine Escalade.
Yeah.
Richie Daley comes out and Barack Obama comes out.
Wow.
He was president-elect. There are pictures on the internet of Barack Obama at Manny's, and I was there. I've never seen me in line. And Richie Daley comes in. Barack Obama comes in. Bastards cut in line. Right?
Do you know what he bought?
What's going on here? I don't remember what they got, but they walked in and then they went in. You know, it's a huge place.
Well, the deli was just featured the whole week that the Democratic convention was here.
It's
like David Axelrod eats there all the time. You know, my good friend David Axelrod
at the ball game, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was not more than.
How have I never heard this story before?
But yeah, Google, look under images, Barack Obama at Manny's, and I've never seen me in any of them, but I was there.
Okay, well, I mean, literally, how many presidents have you met?
I saw Jimmy Carter at a parade once.
How does this story never turn up on it? We've done 375 episodes or something like that.
I've told you this story.
I've never heard it. All right. Well, hey.
So the Muhammad Ali story gets more press than the Barack Obama story.
I guess so. Yeah. You know, I just went on that literary tour last week. They lived right around the corner from each other, Muhammad Ali and Barack Obama.
Really?
Yeah. In the same neighborhood.
So Muhammad Ali lived in...
He had a house in Chicago, right around the corner from Barack Obama. Huh. All right. So we have people to thank.
Kurt Elling bought the condo from Barack and Michelle.
Yeah, no, I know.
And then Barack would come, all right, Kurt, this dial here doesn't work on the stoves. You got to jiggle it a little bit to get,
So that was a great Obama story that he told us. While we're talking about Obama, how does it not come up that Dave
I am sure. I'm going to listen to all 300. I'm sure I said it at some point.
Maybe so. My brain is turning to mush. We need to thank Tony Lasano with Opie Shows. Thank you, Tony. He's the executive producer of the show. Thanks also to Ed Silla. Radio Misfits. Great talk radio.
Ed's knees do. Didn't he have like a knee surgery or something?
We should get an update. Yeah. Great Talk Radio isn't dead. It just moved to a better place. RadioMisfits.com. And we'll be back again next week with a brand new episode of
The proceeding was a presentation of the Radio Misfits Podcast Network. Find our other great shows on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and at RadioMisfits.com. Thank you.
This has been a presentation of Opie Productions.
Tony, can you shut up?